Squeezed through for Bedoya and turned in by Montero, and Philadelphia strike first, and Sporting Kansas City completely caught out, and Santos quite delicately and beautifully makes it 2.
First match of the quarterfinals. Let's get right into the highlights. This was all Philadelphia from the jump in the 24th minute. Just some beautiful work here from Philly, Charlie.
It looked nice. The movements, the runs, and then the vision, the pass, and then the easy tap in. That's what you love to see. It's pure football.
And then in the 26th minute,
on
the counter. Here we go. Look at the pace of Sergio Santos. Absolutely flying. And then the finish. That's his third goal of the tournament.
I mean, is nobody going to mention the back line, though? What is going on here from Sporting Kansas City? I thought I had seen this once in the tournament in the San Jose match, and that was frankly enough. Just complete lack of responsibility, missed assignments, but credit to Sergio Santos for staying alert and putting them up away. And I just thought Philadelphia just came out the much more positive team. They were had the energy from the start. Sporting Kansas City just didn't really seem up for it and were behind before they knew it. And this play right here from Aaronson.
I mean, this
Chuck,
ball from Aaronson.
Come on, man.
Is perfect. It's perfection.
So clean. So clean. And I'll tell you right now, there are a lot of European scouts that are very happy after watching Brandon Aaronson tonight. As well as Mark McKenzie.
And here you're thinking Polito.
Alan Polito made it a little interesting right before half.
Yeah,
just saying.
They needed more of Johnny Russell. They needed more of Johnny Russell tonight. You expect Polito to score there.
Unfortunately, this goal called offside, but Andre Blake coming up big once again for the Union. And it just really wouldn't be enough. Peter Vermees not gonna be happy after this performance from Sporting Kansas City. Here's a look at the game stats from this one. Sporting Kansas City dominating possession, but doesn't really matter because Philadelphia just doing the work on the counter, and just a really, really solid performance. We were wondering where the goals were going to come from. If they weren't scoring a lot of goals, but they found a way to get it done here tonight against Sporting Kansas City. Welcome to the MLS's Back Postgame Show, presented by Audi. Susannah Collins, alongside my faves, Calen Carr, Charlie Davies. Guys, this is the first game of the quarterfinals, and this was pretty much all Philadelphia. It was that first half was, it was almost clinical. Just some really, really impressive moments. What were some of the? How did Philadelphia get this done? What was their mindset? How were they able to execute this game plan so effectively? Charlie, we'll start with you.
It's all about the transition, knowing when to pounce, and then taking advantage of the space in behind. They made a lot of key runs, whether it was a decoy run, whether it was a run into space, and they were direct. They don't need to keep the ball. They're not about a team that's all about having possession. They look to exploit the space in behind, and when they do, they make you pay. And Brendan Aaronson was fantastic tonight. Whether it was him making that decoy run there, which draws Ilie out of the space, it takes attention away from Puncec, and then it's a tap-in for Bedoya, who crosses it. And this is what you want to see from the Philadelphia Union. When they are moving, free-flowing, interchanging, that's when they're at their best. They only have 4 crosses on the night because that's not what they rely on. They rely on turnovers and then getting in behind, being able to capitalize on chances. Their expected goals is 1.63 tonight. They scored 3 goals. That's the Philadelphia Union at their best. At their best.
And Charlie, we had talked about, we had seen moments of the Union where they had that similar combination play that we saw in that first goal. But what Curtin had talked about before was, can they put the game away? Can they take that counterattack opportunity? We heard it in the last match in the water break where he said, one more push, one more run, we get the second goal, we put it away. And we haven't seen that to this point. Now, we were waiting, thinking for the second half. Well, Philadelphia didn't wait for that. They came out in the first half and took their chance on the counterattack. Set piece goes wrong for Kansas City, and they are the ones that capitalize, and then they get the third on top. So the game really was 3-0 until this Alan Pulido goal brings Sporting Kansas City back.
And it was just too little too late. Too little too late.
Too little too late from Sporting Kansas City. We heard Jim Curtin talking post-game in his press conference, and he talked about the fact that when they came into this tournament, they saw themselves as a top 8 team. Well, here they are, moving on to the semifinals. They are one of 4 teams that will be making it that far.
I wonder who may have.
I knew you were going to do this. I know. Calen's giving himself a little pat on the back there. Calen, okay, for the record, Calen did pick the Philadelphia Union to win this whole darn thing. But Calen, I'm going to ask you this then. How do you feel that they are handling sort of this, it's not, I don't want to say a transformation into a top-tier team in this league, but they have emerged as one of the most complete teams. How are they handling it?
Well, I think if you've been paying attention for a long time, this isn't a fluke, right? Every single year it's gotten better for the Philadelphia Union in the regular season points, and then as well as you move to the playoffs. And there were moments years ago where they would go up against David Villa in the playoffs or Josie Altidore and Giovinco and just get basically walked off, run off the pitch.
Crumble.
And it was because in a lot of ways they were playing a bunch of young players and trusting the kids and trusting the process. And that's hard to do. We don't see every MLS team do that. And now you're seeing it bear fruit because guess who some of those players are now who are playing in meaningful matches and now being looked at by big clubs abroad. Those same players that Jim Curtin and the Philadelphia Union have brought through the academy system and given a chance in the first team. And look, when I picked Philadelphia to begin the tournament, part of it was a little bit of an underdog pick, and I thought this tournament would be a little bit different where especially teams that could play with energy, that had a nice blend of youth and experience, and then depth. That was the other piece for me where that made me think, okay, they could really make a run. But now if you're Philadelphia Union and you look around, I mean, look at this quarterfinals. There's been a lot of surprises and a lot of teams knocked out. And look, they're either going to play New York City, who I would put kind of around that same tier, have not won an MLS Cup. Portland have been close lately, have won before, but you go across the other side, Orlando, San Jose, Minnesota. I mean, LAFC is a problem, and you worry about that one when it comes. If you're Jim Curtin, when you get to the final, we'll see what happens once you get there. But if you're Philadelphia, you're in the top 4 now, and I think have a real expectation now and some confidence around the team that they've been carrying for me since match 1 of this tournament.
Yeah, as we see right here, Philadelphia now await the winner of NYCFC and Portland. Charlie, I want to turn it to you because Calen mentioned the youth on Philadelphia's team and how they are beginning to emerge. And one of the names that we can't ignore is that of Brendan Aaronson, who had an extraordinary performance tonight. What did you see from him specifically tonight that kind of encapsulates what makes him such a special player?
Now, I've seen Brendan Aaronson since he was 15 years old, and I've watched him grow, and he's always had confidence. But now it's the maturity, being aware, recognizing space, and then being able to pull off that final pass or that final shot. And what we've seen now from Brendan Aaronson here, he's got pace too. You got 4 Philadelphia Union players, and he's still following the play. Sergio Santos is there, and he still makes the run just in case it doesn't come off. Here, hold up ball. Face up 1v1, does him. Just doesn't pull off the shot, but he's showing he can do that. Here, great first touch, cuts back inside, and then passes and moves. I love this play because only a certain few can pull that off. And he creates that third goal with his movement, knowing where the defender is, and then that first touch, which is so essential to allow you to be smooth with that transition. And here, again, making that run in behind. Perfect cutback. Kasper Shabilko, you got to read that, my man. That's a tap-in. Here, he finds the space in between the lines. Great first touch here. And then makes that nice pass. It's just, he makes it look effortless. But I know how hard he works, how hard he wants it. And all the European scouts that we're watching tonight are going to be leaving this match thinking he practices good habits. He looks like he's ready for the challenge. Mm-hmm. How much do you guys want for him? What is that magic number? Where can we meet? Can we meet somewhere? Because he's
Philadelphia fans should enjoy watching him now.
While you can.
Susannah,
while you can, because he's gone.
The price tag just went up, right? and
he is gone.
And look, he's always had the work rate. He's always had the talent. You talk to people like Charlie who've been around him. He's a young guy, right? But he almost seems unaffected by the moment. Mm-hmm. He doesn't quite necessarily seem like he even realizes he's just out there playing, and that's something special. That's something really unique, especially from a young American player, where you see it in that position, and number 10, a guy. Well, I don't know, or some hesitation, and for him, that really just doesn't exist. The question was, could that translate into results? Could that translate into the final ball? The final finish, and we're seeing that happen now, where the ability sometimes to just check his shoulder, his understanding, his awareness of space. Yes, the pass to Sergio Santos was a beautiful ball, but the recognition to check one shoulder, but just know where the other guy is, and be able to just use the momentum of the other players around him. There's been a lot of moments over the past years where you see, wow, that was special. How did he wriggle his way out of that? But now you're seeing it just that happening, and then it translating into that final ball or that final assist or that final goal, which I think is still going to be something he's going to add to his game over time. But, he's a special player, and if you're a U.S. men's national team fan, I think
don't even get me started. Don't get
me started. We've got some nice pieces to build, young
really
ones.
Nice pieces.
I
always get hyped when we talk about the youth, Calen.
I know.
You just Aaronson, Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams. You go on and on.
And still a ways to go. But look,
future is bright.
You can see the development. That's the exciting part. You can see the development happening from him, and I still think he's got a ways to go.
I love this conversation. I just got all the good feels. Guys, for more on Philadelphia, we're going to turn it on over to Matt Doyle, who broke down Philadelphia's first goal on Top Tier. Let's take a look.
Ray Gaddis has 0 goals and only 9 assists in over 18,000 MLS minutes. And yet it was his presence in the attack that was a key to Philly's first goal on Thursday night. After patiently knocking it around the back, the Union have gotten to a point where Gaddis has pushed far beyond right midfielder Alejandro Bedoya. Gaddis, by taking up that position, has occupied the attention of left back Luis Martins, which means left winger Daniel Shalhoub is supposed to be keeping track of Bedoya. But Shalhoub doesn't. And with the rest of the Sporting midfield and backline occupied, some focused on Gaddis, some on Brendan Aaronson, others on the ball, Bedoya just keeps his run moving and is slipped through by Sergio Santos. The good thing about being patient and precise in the build-up, as the Union are, is that it gives your fullbacks time to push up and get into the attack, creating overloads and opening up cracks that good coordinated off-ball movement can turn into chasms.
Nice breakdown there from Matt Doyle. What we saw illustrated in that particular goal was just a complete team goal. And at the helm of this team is Jim Curtin, who I remember very well, no shorter than 2 seasons ago, was on the hot seat. People were calling for Jim Curtin to be fired. And now, when we look at him, I'm going back to March as well. Their first matchup against LAFC, they went toe-to-toe with LAFC, arguably the best team in the league. And then we see what they have been able to do in this tournament. Is this a little bit of vindication for Jim Curtin and the work that he has put in his time as head coach with Philadelphia? What do you think, Charlie? I see you nodding.
100%. I've known Jim for a long time, and he's one of the nicest guys in the sport.
Yeah, he is.
And I know he's had a rough go of things in Philly. It's been up and down. getting to U.S. Open Cup finals, losing those, being there on the sidelines when the fans are calling for his head after, a lost match. And this has been since 2017, 2016. And he's just stuck with it. He's got such a positive mind frame and mindset. And, he deserves this. He's worked with these guys. He's got them to buy into the system. He's had 3 different sporting directors. It doesn't matter. He's been the one constant. He's a Philly guy, lives in the city, and these guys respect him. And that's tough. When things aren't going well, if you lose the locker room, if you lose the guys' respect, that's when things absolutely fall off the rails. The guys have always respected Jim Curtin. And so now they're putting in the results. Everything's paying off. All that time of grooming the youngsters is paying off. Like Calen said, the experience has helped a tremendous amount. And now they're a force. And it's not a secret anymore because they can compete. Yeah. They have a lot of weapons. But they better hope that Sergio Santos isn't hurt, because Kasper Šibilko hasn't been informed, and they got nothing after him. After Šibilko, they have nothing left up top. So you better hope that Sergio Santos can go in that next round.
Chuck's trying to get back with trying to go back to the Union.
Hey, give me a call, Jim.
Chuck, come on, yeah. Well, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I would echo the points that Chuck made about Jim. I mean, I was a young player when I came into the Chicago Fire, and he was one of the vets and a center back on the team. And just you never have to worry when you mention Jim Curtin's name for anybody who played with him or was around him at all. You never have to worry about respect, and you're always going to respect a guy like that from the way he put it in on the pitch. And then that's the one thing that I look at when I see his teams and the way he interacts with them is he also keeps a very cool head, a level head. So they could be down goals, they could be up. You could see it the way now we're getting a really good look at it and the way that he communicates with his team. Where I think they're up 2 goals and they come over and he's like, oh, it took 24 minutes for us to show up and play, but here we are. And so he's just that honesty, I think, is something that goes a long way in a locker room as far as and he said it throughout the tournament where leading up to this point they had gotten far and had not played their best. And he wasn't shy about saying that to his team. And now you're starting to see the bar getting higher and higher. And for a manager with young players, too, as far as keeping their level heads, that's another thing that I think also plays into it, because he's keeping Aaronson going. He's keeping McKenzie going. He's keeping the guys on the bench going. And then, the other part I would just mention, too, is just like the way he's able to connect to the team and all of the other circumstances that have gone around this tournament and the way that this team has responded to, Black Lives Matter movement and people who have, suffered deaths in the family, all different types of factors that have happened. And I think when you have a manager that you trust, when you have a manager that you respect, that also goes away into the mood amongst the team and amongst the players. They have also stuck together through this time. So I think it's another reason why I think this Philadelphia team has something special going.
Suze,
I love it.
I have to add too. It's the culture
of course.
too within the club. It goes down to the equipment managers, Brendan Kaminsky, Dan Nolan, the head athletic trainer Paulie and his staff. Everyone is just so cool. I really appreciated my time with the Union because of the people that work behind the scenes. They make it more of like a family atmosphere, and I know that's a big part of the reason the Philadelphia Union are having such
100%.
success.
And I think the head coach is always a reflection of that entire culture, from the top all the way down. Well, up next for the Philadelphia Union is the winner of Portland and NYCFC. And Charlie, you talked about how you saw Philadelphia and NYCFC as very similar in terms of sort of where they're at ranking in this league. Who do you think Philadelphia matches up better against between these two?
I really do think they match up better against a New York City FC, because that's a team that likes to attack. They'll get open. They'll take risks. They'll take chances. So Philadelphia Union would have no problem playing against a New York City FC because they can concede possession. That's not their strong suit. They like to, be organized. And then once a team comes past that line of confrontation, they attack, they defend, and then they look to hit you directly. A team like Portland, they'll sit back. They'll say, Philly, you can have the ball. Come to us. Give us that space in behind for Blanco,
you love
and
that,
Valeri,
Charlie.
and Abobasi. Yeah, of course. So I know Philly is like this. Come on, New York City FC, let's go. Plus, it's an Eastern Conference rivalry.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It is tough to beat a team twice in the span of a couple weeks, and we did see Philadelphia win that opening match against NYCFC, and almost drew, actually, if it wasn't for the save of Andre Blake. But I kind of agree with you, Chuck. I think NYCFC would provide a better matchup for the Union. There we go.
Finally.
Virtual fist pumps all around.
Yeah,
but I honestly think the way Philly's playing right now, it's like you make it to the semifinals and you make the other team have to match up to you, and so I think Philadelphia's on a good roll right now, and yeah, but I would like to see, I personally, this is just my opinion, I like seeing the Eastern teams go against the Eastern teams and the West against the West, especially as we get to the later on in the tournament. So yeah, but yeah, I'll take whatever I can get right now. It's MLS's back. We got to appreciate what we have.
All right. Good stuff. All right, let's time now for the Audi Goals Drive Progress segment. During the MLS's Back tournament, with every goal scored, Audi will contribute $1,000. 4 goals scored tonight. So far, there have been 125 tournament goals, which totals $125,000. And during the MLS's Back tournament championship match, every goal scored is worth $5,000. And in addition, Audi will contribute $10,000 to the MLS's Back tournament Golden Boot Winners Academy Club. So let's take a look then at the Golden Boot presented by Audi standings, and Diego Rossi right up there. But Sergio Santos making his way up the charts. He's got 3 goals.
Just give that trophy to Diego already. Come on. It's done.
You don't see that?
Over.
You don't.
You got to get 4 goals in 2 games and hope that Rossi gets none.
Guys.
Yeah,
Has this tournament taught you nothing? Taught you nothing? Like, I mean, honestly.
Give him that boot.
Actually,
Good
Wando, though, I might
Yes,
say so
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
Wando going to score 4 goals off the bench?
He can't be giving up pens. He's letting other people take pens. I got to text Wando about this. This is...
Yeah.
I can't accept
If Wando was starting, I would say, okay, there's a shot. But if he's coming off the bench...
Well, it doesn't count towards the all-time tally, so I think he may be saving some, too.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Well, next up tomorrow night, we have, this is the one I'm so looking forward to. We've got Orlando City taking on LAFC. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. This is going to be such a fun one for many reasons, and I kind of talked about it a little bit in the pregame show. Orlando have been one of the feel-good stories of this entire tournament. They have found this sort of new leash on life under Oscar Pereja. But this, going up against LAFC right now, the way that they are playing, it's going to be their biggest test to date by far. Can Orlando handle that kind of pressure? Calen, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think?
I don't see any pressure on Orlando. What's the pressure?
Yeah.
This team is this is an organization that's never made the playoffs before. You know, has by and large, they've had multiple managers, constant turmoil, and so you're going against the best team in MLS history, and their expectations are 0. Now, I think for this team,
are they 0 at this point? I think it's.
I think if they lose this game, no one is going to hold it against them. Let's put it that way. But I think they've gotten to this point, and deservedly so. And now they've gotten a little bit greedy, and they should, because I agree with you, Susannah. I don't think that it's going to be necessarily just like a straightforward proposition, because I think Orlando really is a changed team, and we talk a lot about the word culture, and we talked about it with Jim Curtin, and but sometimes it's hard to quantify that. But when you look at Orlando City, the way I would measure it is how they perform late in games. I think that's one way you can tell the culture of a team, because that's when it gets tough, especially in this climate. You're playing against the other team, but you're also playing against the environment. And we've seen Orlando be really successful in those moments. And then the other way I would measure that is how you respond to adversity. And when they gave up a goal against this Philadelphia Union team, we saw they marched right back down and scored on the other end. So I think you're able to see the culture there. Now, LAFC is going to test your culture, your will, your tactics, your everything, because you have to play almost a perfect game to make it happen. The part that scares me a little bit for Orlando is, can Nani and Chris Mueller, will they drop back and defend? Because you cannot go a man or two down against LAFC. And the teams that we've seen be successful, whether it's Seattle, they had Jordan Morris, they had Ladero, they had Rui Diaz, they had every single one of their players working. Not this one, but when they were successful the year before. So it's going to take everybody for Orlando, and a near perfect match, I think, to be able to get a result in this one.
Mueller
Charlie,
will defend.
how do you feel?
I can promise you that. He doesn't have the luxury to sit up there and just wait for the ball and wait for that through ball. He's got to come back and defend. Now, Nani, that's a wild card. How committed is he going to be to this Orlando City side when it comes to defending? But LAFC, they're a juggernaut. They're going to attack relentless. They want to play with a crazy tempo and speed to their game. They love to use their wingers. They love to use BWP and put him high, just be in the box. But BWP now is finding his rhythm and understanding the tendencies of his teammates, which makes him that much more effective in the game, because he can check and combine and play the wingers through, because he has that ability. So it's an uphill battle for Orlando. But again, you're made it this far, anything's possible. And they've already exceeded all the expectations. They've done what they need to do to get here. So I do believe that Oscar Pereira will have a proper game plan in place. Now, do you have to get a little bit lucky? Yes. But this is going to be an entertaining game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Let's take a look real quick at our schedule for the remaining games in the quarterfinals. Tomorrow, that big one that we're talking about right now, Orlando LAFC, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. And then on Saturday, the doubleheader, starting off with San Jose against Minnesota. That game at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, followed up by NYCFC Portland. Remember, the winner of that game going to face off against Philadelphia in the semifinals. And of course, guys, join us for MLS Today, presented by AT&T. Before every single match night, you can watch on MLSsoccer.com, Facebook, and Twitter. And don't forget the post-game show. MLS is Back post-game show, presented by Audi. After the final whistle, join us for MLS After Hours. We are here to break down all the quarterfinal action and look ahead to the next matches. So you don't want to miss it. But for now, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the soccer, and we will be right back here with you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll see you soon.